Hi everyone, it's Miss Vadino, and today I want to give you a mini lesson on the idea of characterization. So we are going to use this mini lesson presentation for our assignment today in class. So one thing I would like you to do, if you don't understand something as we're going through our activity, is to go back and access this video and rewatch and just have it on hand in case you need it for other documents or assignments that we need it for characterization. So characterization is something that we will constantly be using in English class, especially throughout this year and years to come for my other classes. So it's a really great video to have just so you know it's in your toolbox and you have it on hand. So there is a great presentation that I have actually borrowed from Mr. Escobar from Felix Varela Senior High School. And this really just gives the rundown of what characterization is, what it represents, the different features, and why it is important to the story elements of any text, any fictional text, truly. So what are we learning today? We want to learn what are the details of a character when you have to analyze them. What are you looking for in that character? The types of words or adjectives used to describe those characters. Where are the sources that we draw from to learn about those characters? And what things shape a character's perspective or thought process? Aspects of characterization. There's three major things when we're looking at the aspects of a character, okay, especially a fictional character, because we really don't know them unless we read about them, okay? So one of the things are, what do they physically look like? How are they emotionally built? Like, how is the character feeling throughout the book? Does that emotion change throughout the book? And what is the character thinking? So psychologically, are we able to kind of pick apart their brain, understand the dilemmas or the problems they might be going through, and how do they solve those problems through their psychological thinking? Okay, so you can pretty much break down any person through these three elements. So when you're looking at any fictional character, you're simply just going to apply those three elements to your character. If you're able to answer those things about a specific character in a book, then you're really breaking down the characterization of the people. When you describe these aspects, so you describe them physically, you describe them emotionally, and you describe them psychologically, the way we do that is simply through adjectives, okay? Adjectives are a describing word or term, okay? So whenever you're trying to break down a character, the best way to provide details for that character is through adjectives, okay? So physically, I'm seeing someone who might be pretty, old, frail, elegant, unhealthy, short, messy. I physically see those things, okay? Emotionally, that character might feel confused, surprised, encouraging, compassionate, envious, jealous, okay? You might not see them physically, okay, but based on what they're saying and their reactions to things, that's going to describe them emotionally. And psychologically, someone might be very confused, driven, reasonable, knowledgeable. Again, how is that character handling situations? For most texts, those story elements of a problem and a solution, how is a character handling the problem? Okay, psychologically, what's going on in their mind? And then to build that solution, how are they assessing the situation? Okay, and what are they using to solve it? All right. So I ask you, when you think of a friend or a character or a family member, we want to use adjectives to describe that person. Okay, so this is a really cool activity for you to do on your own, to try to think of someone that you can break them down physically, emotionally, and psychologically. Okay, if you're able to find adjectives to fit those three columns, okay, that is a clear understanding that you can break down a character, okay? Sometimes students have problems with limited descriptions, okay? There's more to a character than one adjective, and there's more to a character than just looking at them physically, Okay, so make sure you try to find adjectives that support the physical, emotional, and psychological aspects of your character. Okay, the best way to do that is to find adjectives or synonyms that are the same meaning but are a different word. Okay, one of our great resources that we use is thesaurus.com. I use that constantly. If I want to find a word, maybe a little bit more my grade level or just another definition of a word, I'll go on thesaurus.com, put in the basic word, and see if any synonyms pop up to that word. Okay, so don't limit it just because you want to keep it to one thing. That really doesn't characterize someone. Okay, you're just kind of stating it. All right, we want to break that character down. And if it's like a real person or you're trying to get to know someone, there needs to be more description. Okay, so when you think about the takeaway from this mini lesson, you want to be able to describe any type of character in any text that we read through the physical descriptions, the emotional state that they're in, and the psychological state that they're in. Okay, and when thinking of those words, instead of using that one term, we want to be able to research different words that might have the same meaning but are better applied to that character. When we think of sources for a character, okay, we're really relying on the author's or the narrator's description of that character. If it's the first person narrative, that own voice should be describing how they feel, maybe what they look like, and psychologically how they're going through things. Another way you can find out about a character is what other characters say about that specific character. So think of a school setting. What do your friends say about you that would be used as descriptive knowledge for us readers? Okay, it's simply through the thoughts, actions, and dialogue of a person. When we look at sources of characterization, the takeaway is we want to learn about that character through how the text is not only written out, but what is portrayed through the text. And like I said, it could be done through dialogue, it could be done through another character's interpretation of that character, it can be done through the narrator and what he or she has to say about themselves. The last thing we're going to talk about is perspective. So we're going to discuss, well, what is perspective? What impacts a character's perspective? And how is perspective and characterization, how do they go hand in hand as, one whole element? Okay, so think about these descriptions here. How would you describe a ladybug? Then if you think about it, what would an ant say about the ladybug? What would the ant's perspective be? And then what would we say about the ant? What would a creature who stares in an ant's face up close have to say? It's all about perspective. Everyone's perspective is different by the way you look at something. No one's perspective is ever really the same. So there's really 4 elements that really shape someone's perspective. Okay, the first is background. Okay, where are these characters coming from? What is their ethnicity or race? What is the time period? Okay, think of the environment. Where are we? Are we in a city, the farm, the country, a different state, a different continent? Okay, is there a historical framework that backs that up? How would you describe the character's personality? How do they respond to the world around them based on their personality? If they're shy, they might be standoffish to the people around them. If you're outgoing, you may be able to talk to anyone and everything. And relationships. Do they have relationships with people? Parents, boyfriends, girlfriends, teachers, bosses, and how does that impact the world around them? So this is the takeaway for perspective, okay? Think about the background that they're coming from. Think about who they are, their culture, ethnicity, okay? Family background, historical background. What drives that character to think, feel, or act in a manner that he or she does? Why do they act that way based on their personalities? If you can take those two questions and apply them to a character, you start getting to the fact that you understand that character's perspective on the world or the issue at hand. Once you're able to figure that out, you can step into their shoes and really see how they see the world. Then it will be much easier to analyze a character. And that concludes our presentation for characterization. I just want to thank the creator of this presentation because I think it's really easy to follow and to understand. So if you would like to take a minute and look through this video just to gain some insight on this mini lesson before we start, that will be awesome. And if you have any questions, I'm available all day and through my office hours from 1:15 to 2:15. And hopefully this is a great tool for you to use for other assignments. Okay, Ms. Fedino signing out. Bye.